Today's video is brought to you by Pegasus Online. Looking for creative business tips and ideas to help grow your business? Welcome to the Business of Creativity. Hey Charles, have you done anything creative this week?
Creative this week. I did some editing. I went and picked up an image that I'm going to be giving to my daughter-in-law.
Oh, awesome.
I have a shoot set up for tomorrow. So that's basically what I've been doing, editing. You know, there's always editing to do, I think, Travis.
The world
How about you?
is full of editing. Oh man, editing here, same as you. I have been working on infographics for my day job lately, just about standardization.
I tell you one thing I've done, Travis, and I know we'll be talking about that later on, but I joined Clubhouse, which is it's a hell of a forum. Right now it's in the beta stages, and it's just for Apple users. But
Yeah.
man, I've been learning so much on Clubhouse, and we'll talk about that later on. But
Oh, definitely. I have social media anxiety, as you know. Any new social media freaks me out. I can barely handle Facebook and Instagram right now. So
yeah, you're not on either one of those that much, are you?
not really. I focus mainly on the website side of things and how that can work in somebody's sales funnel. So what are we talking about this week?
Yeah, today, Travis, I thought we'd talk about the pros and the cons of renting versus buying.
It's a good topic.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's pros and cons to each one. Some people would rather purchase lens, cameras, gear, and just own it. A good friend of mine, he said, I just want to own stuff because you have to do all the shipping and all that other stuff.
Yep.
I have been doing not a lot of renting, but I have been doing some renting because I have my Canon mirrorless camera.
Mm-hmm.
The brand new lenses for a Canon is $2,500, $3,000.
It's ridiculous.
It's a lot of money, man, but the glass is so good. It's top quality stuff, man. But I don't have the $3,000.
Yeah.
But I do have the $69 to rent it for a couple of days. And so that's where I'm leaning. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh man, so you just opened my eyes. I didn't know renting a $3,000 lens was only $69. I feel like every time I look for a lens, I'm always looking for the dream lens, tilt shift lens or something like that. So usually those are quite a bit more expensive. Yeah. I have this problem in my mind where I kind of want to own something because I want to either play with it and just screw up with it, make mistakes with it, but really learn that piece of glass, and then I'll go out and use it. It also encompasses lighting professionals or musicians or pretty much any creative industry. I feel like there's a rental base out there for you to find equipment a lot cheaper. It's a good question whether or not to rent or not, because I tend to like to buy things. My idea is always, why rent something when it's 1/6 the price, when you can own it and make mistakes and get really good at that piece of glass. But with your way of thinking, it's kind of opening my eyes up to a whole new world where I could save a lot more money, get the glass for that job, work on it, maybe even rent it a few extra days just so I can play with it, make my mistakes on it and do all that. And then if I like it so much, I could eventually buy it, maybe used or something like that.
Well, that time you and I did that, you did it more than I did, but the lighting for that dance performance, Did you rent any of that stuff, or did you guys end up buying all of that?
That's a good point. Yeah. So we, just to give a little background to everybody, we recently were asked to come on and set up lighting for a bunch of dancers for a performance here in Reno, because they like the style, our photography style. So when I went out and started looking at different options, whether or not to buy lights or rent lights, we went to a few rental providers, and the rental providers had a really weird schedule, and the pricing was so close. I think it was for $40 more. I think we could just buy the equipment, and it, granted, it wasn't top notch equipment. That equipment also included light stands, which are things we already owned. We had C stands, so we could just bring those in. We pulled them from our studio, brought them into the space, and set them up with the XLR lights, I think they're called. And we had everything set up on a board. So I think we spent, I forget, maybe around 200 and something dollars. And that was all just absorbed with the price of the show. So in that case, we thought it made more sense to purchase it. And the producer of the show, she really liked the idea of just owning the lights. So in all future shows, she had those lights now as her base, and she was going to build on that for future shows.
Here's an example of when I think renting is good. My grandkids, when COVID didn't hit, they would be playing sports. Mm-hmm. And I was blessed to get a pass so I could get on the field. It's just high school, junior high. But anyway, to get on the field and to get into the action, you need a lens with some you got to get in there. You know, you can't take a good sports photo from the stands. You just can't do it, especially football. I'm talking about football right now.
Yeah.
But to have that lens in my bag, and again, you're talking $2,000, $2,500,
yeah,
at least, yeah. To have that lens in my bag, especially right now with COVID, it's just sitting there, and that's $3,000 I've spent. But to go down to the studio, to the store, rent that lens on a Saturday because they're closed on Sunday. That's a trick. They're closed on Sunday, so you have that 1 day rental, but you don't return it again till Monday. So,
inside tip.
Yeah. So I have access to that lens that I'll only use one time. Well, I ended up using it like 4 times, but that's $240 roughly, something like that, versus $3,000.
Yeah.
And to me, there's situations that come up to where it's just, to me, it's common sense, and it's a no-brainer to go ahead and rent. From the store's perspective, I asked them about that too. You know, in the markup, you know, you're talking about $3,000 for a lens. Well, the store's markup isn't that high on stuff. So from their end, you know, they purchase for, I don't know, $2,500, and they can rent that bad boy out X amount of times, and they have their money, plus they still have that piece of equipment to continue renting or to sell and upgrade their inventory. So I just think sometimes it's just a win-win. And the other thing too, Travis, yeah, you can purchase, which is good, but I love being able to support those kind of stores. There's some back east, and there's different stores other than the one here in Reno, Action Camera, that you can go online and you can rent some great stuff. But then again, you have to ship it back east, they ship it to you and all that kind of stuff. Personally, if you have access to a store in your area, I'd rather go down, talk to the guys, have that rapport amongst us, support them, they're helping me. So I just get a good feeling about doing it. And I saw that they had the R6 in their inventory now, which is not the R5, but the R6 has a lot of features like in-body stabilization that the R doesn't have. Mm-hmm. It has different features that I just don't have with my camera. And again, I think that's like $55 a day to rent.
Ah.
Um, and it's just, to me, it's just so cool. And I'm a Canon shooter, but they have Sony, Nikon, Minolta. They have all different types of things you can rent. They have camera stands, light stands, all kinds of things that if you price it into your job,
Yep.
yeah, so your job is paying for your rental. And that's one thing you got to think about too. When I was doing it for my grandkids, I was just doing it because I wanted to come up with some great images,
Yep.
like I was on the sidelines of the NFL or something like that. But if you're going to do a wedding or you're going to do something like that, price it into your bid.
Yep.
And again, your client, they're paying for the rental. That rental is helping you get some real awesome shots, and then you take it back because you may do, in my case, 3 weddings a season because I'm not into weddings that much, and you don't have that gear.
That makes a lot of sense. It would allow me to really have the lineup. It took me a long time to get the primes. I like to call them the Holy Trinity. Having those primes, once I achieved that Holy Trinity, I felt like I really broke through. But all along here, I could have been using those 3 lenses instead of saving up for these $3,000 lenses.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't that expensive. The 51.4 isn't crazy expensive, but the 85.1.4 is outrageous. I think it's $1,800.
Yeah, but see that 85 is almost one of those lenses where you just go buy that bad boy because at 85 is so versatile.
Oh, so beautiful.
And R50. There's certain lenses you buy those because you're going to be using them.
Yep.
Zoom lenses and different type lenses, maybe not so much,
yep.
in my opinion. Other people, I get it. You want to own it because you don't want to take it back to the store and they say, "Oh, you scratched it," or that kind of stuff.
That's my fear. Because I wreck things, I ruin things, I fail forward all the time. So I am afraid of renting something and wrecking it. I'm afraid of renting cars. I just rented a car. Luckily, checked it back in, no problem. But I'm just afraid of that. And I was wondering, is there any type of insurance situation when you rent equipment? Do they offer?
They probably no, they haven't offered it. I haven't even asked them about it.
Interesting.
Maybe I will. Maybe I should know their policy on that kind of stuff. But now that you mention it, that's one thing to think about. You got to be really careful when you rent somebody else's stuff because you are obligated if you damage it.
Yeah, that would keep me nervous, I think.
Yeah,
because I've dropped a couple lenses. Things have worked out. I have a dead lens sitting in my closet right now that I've been meaning to send in. But yeah, it's a thing I'm afraid of because I don't trust myself fully to protect somebody else's property enough. So I think that's my big hesitation. But it's so tempting to just snap on, whatever it would cost if it's $185 for a rental, to put that into the overall cost of a wedding or something if I want that special shot. It makes a lot of sense.
And it's just one of those things, Travis. I lean toward rental, even, and we'll talk about this later on, but even like a studio spot.
Mm-hmm.
You can have your own studio, which is very nice.
Yep.
Or you could rent a spot for a day or a week or whatever. Again, when you're done with it, you don't have to worry about the monthly rental fees or the lease fees or whatever you're into.
That makes sense.
To me, there's just a lot of benefit to renting a studio, renting gear, returning it, and you're done with it. But there's pros and cons to it both ways, yeah.
Yeah, and your dollar just obviously goes a lot further with that. So I think next time I have a project, I might be looking into some sort of rental solution for whatever lenses I need. I think I limit my creativity by thinking about the lenses I have in my bag and not about the lenses I possibly could have. If I kind of started thinking that way, I think I could have more creative expression and kind of expand out of my comfort zone and into some really neat and unique things. I mean, there are some lenses, I forget the value of it. It was in the hundreds. It's like a 105 f 2.4 or something, but it's a prime lens, which means there's no zoom. And that thing, I watched a photographer take photos of that, and the bokeh was outrageous. It was just like butter behind them. The subject was cut out, and everything behind them was just totally soft and just incredible. And that's a lens I looked up right away, and I forget how expensive it was, but it was just outrageous. It was in the multi-$1,000s, and I thought, oh, someday I can own that. But maybe renting that for a shoot, I could really expand my portfolio out and really kind of show some other stuff kind of going into that. And I kind of want to point out too that we've been talking about renting glass this whole time. We haven't talked about really a body. You talked about a body, but having a different features and stuff. But really, I think there's a reason we're talking about renting glass over camera bodies, because the camera body will kind of really work off of the glass, right? So having better glass, renting better glass on your camera body that you're currently using, that's probably a better solution overall, would you say?
I guess. And with Canon, the type of cameras that I'm using, I can use my lenses on my R. I can use my lenses on the 5, the 6. A photographer told me a long time ago that he said he had, I don't know how many camera bodies in his closet, but he said when you get that lens will take you places and it lasts forever. You can get good glass, man, and the camera bodies, I think they tend to break down more than the glass. The glass, if you take care of it, keep it clean, you're going to always have that glass.
It'll last a lifetime, yeah.
Yeah. And it will do great work too. Great work.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Well, cool. Is there anything else you're thinking of for rentals versus buying?
Not right now. I think where I am right now and what I want to do and what I have scheduled, I have that in my bag. I have the 85 in my bag. I have the 50 in my bag. So I'm good right now. It's just a tool. As we do what we do, the more tools you have in your briefcase, the more you can get done. And if I know that somebody wants me to do X, and if I'm comfortable doing that type project, then I know I can rent a lens. The one thing too about renting, and you have to keep this in the back of your mind, especially when you're dealing with one store. If you're going to have a shoot, you need to make sure you reserve that piece of equipment because they only have like one of each. It's not like they have 85 lenses sitting in the back. So, and there's been a few times where I wanted, man, I'm going to rent that lens. I go online and I looked and it's already gone. So that's when you have to either rent a different lens or go with what you have in your bag. So that's one thing. When you own it, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So that's something else to think about too.
So that might be a downside to looking at a local shop over a large like lensrentals.com or something like that.
Yeah. Well, even with them, excuse me, even with them, the little bit of research I've done with them, you still have to rent in advance because they don't have a limitless amount of equipment either.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You just gotta plan ahead when you're gonna have a shoot.
And look for those free days. That was the tip of the day, I think.
Tip of the day, tip of the day, especially local. If they're closed on local on a holidays and Sundays, man. If a holiday falls on Monday, you rent that bad boy on Saturday, and you good to go.
Oh, it's amazing. I love that. I'm gonna definitely be renting some stuff. I think here moving forward. I think you've expanded my entire future.
Well, just don't be clumsy with it.
I'll try. I'm gonna walk around with oven mitts or something, really protected. But yeah, very cool. So, any other topics we want to cover?
Not right now. Not. I think we're done, Travis. We have a whole lot of stuff to talk about down the line. I do want to talk about Clubhouse because that's the newest and greatest thing in that I found.
Oh
And
yeah.
the knowledge there and the community there is outstanding. So maybe we'll delve into that next time.
I
How's that?
I would love to dive into that. I think it would be good for you to show me that. As I've mentioned before, I have social media anxiety. So every time I see a new social media platform or network or something like that, it freaks me out, and I get just nervous about another communication line to me because it's hard enough to manage every Slack and Twitter and all these other social media pieces. It's hard to kind of focus it all. So you were telling me about a lot of things with it, and I'm really excited to dive into that. And I think it'd be really fun to
Let
have you
me
explain it
let
all.
me just leave. Like I said, there's so many people on there with so many thoughts.
Yep.
One thing I'll leave with this: you can get so much information from Clubhouse, from Instagram, from Facebook, YouTube. You can get so much information in. But you get to a point where you have to take action. You have to step into it and just actually do it.
Yep.
Step into the fear, do it, learn from it. And so you can get information overload, but there's also value in community and learning, but you have to take action.
Oh, absolutely. Great advice. I think that's great to end on. So next time we'll talk about Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Fantastic. I'm excited.
All right, buddy, you have a good day.
You too. I'll talk to you later.